A man comes in from the field. His clothes still hold the heat of the day. His hands still smell like work. He has not run away. He has not wasted a fortune. He has not slept in a far country. If you asked most people which son stayed home, they would point at him. You would probably point at him too. They would be wrong, because in the 15th chapter of Luke, that son stops at the door. He hears music. He hears dancing. He hears a servant say his brother's name. And he will not go in. The younger son left the house with his feet. The older son stays near the house with his body. But when the father opens joy, the older son stands outside it. So who is away from home? This is not a story about one reckless boy. This is not a story about a soft father. This is not a story that lets you watch the younger son and feel safe. This is a story about two ways to stand outside the father's joy. One leaves by rebellion. One stays by bitterness. And the more dangerous place may not be the far country. It may be the doorway of a house you never left. Stay with this. Luke chapter 15 does not begin with a banquet. It begins with a complaint. Tax collectors and sinners draw near to hear Jesus. Pharisees and scribes mutter that this man receives sinners and eats with them. That sentence is the door into the whole chapter. Jesus is not giving a gentle talk about family feelings. He is answering men who cannot stand the sight of mercy sitting at a table. He tells 3 stories. A sheep is lost. A coin is lost. Then a son is lost. Only the 3rd story has 2 lost sons. The younger one says, "Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me." In that world, the request lands like a blow. He wants the father's goods without waiting for the father's death. He wants the blessing without the bond. The father gives it. The boy goes far. He spends it. A famine finds him. He ends up feeding pigs, hungry enough to envy their food. For a Jewish listener, that is not only poverty, that is shame. If you have ever come home carrying both hunger and disgrace, you already know that road. Then he comes to himself. He writes a speech in his mind. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants." He starts home. The father sees him while he is still a long way off. The father runs. The father embraces him. The father kisses him. The father will not let the speech finish. A robe, a ring, sandals, the fattened calf. Music, the door of the house swings wide for the son who left. Then the older son comes in from the field. He hears the music. He calls a servant. The servant says, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound." The older son is angry. He refuses to go in. Ride that again. The younger son once shut a door behind him. The older son now shuts a door in front of him. Both stand outside the father's joy. One said, "I do not need you." The other said, "I have served you, so you must do this my way." That is the whole thesis. The older son is not the one at home. He is near the father's property. He is outside the father's joy. Listen to his sentence. "Look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him." He does not say, "my brother." He says, "this son of yours." Bitterness changes the family dictionary. Kinship becomes distance. He can recite the younger son's past. He cannot enter the father's gladness. And the verb matters. He says he has served. In Greek, the word is douleuo. It is the language of a slave at work, not a son at table. He does not say, I have lived with you. He says, I have slaved for you. A hired man asks, have I done enough? A son asks, what makes my father glad? A hired man compares rewards. A son shares the house's joy. A hired man sees mercy given to someone else and feels robbed. A son sees mercy given to someone else and feels the family come back. Here is what most people miss. Spiritual distance is not always measured by miles. Sometimes it is measured by what makes you glad and what makes you hard. You can stand in the yard of the house and still be far from the table. The younger son left with his feet. The older son left with his heart. One stood outside because of shame. One stood outside because he was sure he was right. Both needed the father to come out, and the father does. He runs toward the younger son on the road. He also goes out to the older son in the yard. The same father. 2 journeys, 1 invitation. Come in. The door is not only for the obvious rebel. The door is also for the religious son who will not enter joy. If that sentence found you, do not rush past it. That image does not appear once and vanish. Isaiah chapter 55 says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Near is not the same as inside. Near means the invitation has not been pulled back. Psalm 118 says, this is the gate of the Lord. The righteous shall enter through it. A gate is not a decoration. A gate is for walking through. Then, in the 21st chapter of Matthew, Jesus tells another story about 2 sons. A father says, go work in the vineyard. One son says no, and later goes. The other says, sir, and never moves. Right speech is not the same as entering the Father's will. Luke 15 and Matthew 21 are pressing the same bruise. You can talk right. You can stand in the right yard. You can do a long list of right work. If you will not enter what the Father is doing, you are still outside. You may be closer to the door than you think, and still refuse to walk through it. The Pharisees listening that day did not look like the younger son. They kept commands. They prayed. They tithed. They avoided the public wreckage other people made. But when sinners drew near to Jesus, they did not rejoice. They muttered. They could not God giving mercy to people they had already filed under unworthy. The older son is not only a moody brother in a story, he is a mirror for a religious heart that can do many right things and still refuse the thing God loves. This is not about whether you attend. This is not about how many verses you can quote. This is not about how clean you look from the aisle. This is about what rises in you when someone else receives mercy. Do you enter the Father's joy, or do you feel that mercy stole your seat? If this is opening the passage for you, stay. Subscribe if you want studies like this to keep finding you. The hardest part of the story is still ahead, because Luke does not end with the younger son forgiven. Luke ends with a door still open and an altar still outside. Watch the climb, first layer. 2 sons, 2 failures. Second layer. Both have stood outside. Third layer. You can serve for years and still stand outside. Fourth layer. The first hearers were not pagans. They were Bible men who hated the party. Fifth layer. The father does not only hunt the runaway. He also seeks the son who will not come in. Sixth layer. Jesus never tells you whether the older son walked through the door. That last layer is the wound. No apology scene, no embrace between brothers, no shot of the older son at the table. The door stays open. The invitation stays warm. The choice stays in the yard. Now bring it into a house you know. A child who wrecked a lot of years comes home one night. The father opens the door. The mother cries. Food is put on the table. And another child stands in the hallway. He hears laughter. He hears the sentence, "Your brother is home." He remembers the years he stayed, the rides to the doctor, the work he picked up, the nights he did not leave. His pain is not fake. If that hallway is yours, you already know the heat in it. But if he makes that pain the ruler of the house, he becomes a prisoner of his own scorecard. He stops wanting good for the family. He only wants the father to admit he was the worthy one. That is the older son's danger. He may be right about the younger son's past. He is wrong about the father's heart. He can remember every failure in the room. He forgets that he also needs mercy. The father does not say, "You were wrong to work." The father does not say, "You are not allowed to hurt." The father says, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours." It was fitting to celebrate and be glad. For this, your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. The father does not erase the older son's years. He refuses to let those years become a veto against joy. You can live in the father's house a long time. Tonight, he may still be asking you to enter a relationship, not a job. You do not need another task. You need to come in, not the bond of a hired man, not the math of a reward, the bond of a son. And this is where the first question lands. Who is standing outside the door? Not only the boy in the far country, not only the Pharisee in Luke's courtyard. You, if you still serve, still look right, still stay near, and still cannot rejoice when the Father restores someone. The door has not shut. The Father is still outside with you. 3 things to keep. First, near the things of God is not the same as inside the joy of God. Distance is not always a map. Sometimes it is your gladness, your anger, and the way you look at a person who just received mercy. Second, obedience does not make God your debtor. You do not get to say, "I have done enough, so you must pay me my way." Every good thing you have started as the Father's kindness. Third, the restored person is not your rival. When someone comes home, you did not lose a prize. The Father's house gained a child. So here is the question. When God restores someone who hurt you, or embarrassed you, or seemed less faithful than you, what rises first? Joy or bitterness? Do not answer with the church sentence. Answer with the thing that actually moves in your chest. You may never have left the house. The Father may still be standing at the door, asking you to come in. He is not only waiting for the child who ran, he is also seeking the child who will not enter. If this found you, write 1 word in the comments, or tell the truth. Are you outside from shame or from bitterness? If you know someone who still serves and no longer rejoices, send this to them. Not to shame them, to call them in